You know how some people just live for attention? The kind who practically glow when an entire restaurant stops what they're doing to sing happy birthday at the top of their lungs? Yeah, that's not me. And it's definitely not my brother either. We were the quiet kind of kids, the ones who'd rather fade into the wallpaper than be the center of a scene. Even when we were little, the idea of strangers clapping and staring at us made our skin crawl. But unfortunately for us, our mom, she was the complete opposite. Mom loved the spotlight. She was the kind of person who'd talk to everyone. Waiters, cashiers, random people in line at the grocery store. She had one of those big, infectious laughs that made heads turn, and she never missed a chance to make a moment out of anything. So when birthdays rolled around, you can probably imagine what that meant. It didn't matter where we went. A pizza joint, a steakhouse, or a tiny diner on the corner, if it was anyone's birthday. Mom was going to make sure the entire building knew it. And when it was our birthdays, it was game over. I still remember one of the earliest times it happened. I was maybe 9 and my brother Jake was 11. We went to this local Mexican restaurant. Bright colors everywhere, mariachi music, the kind of place where the chips and salsa show up before you even order. Mom had that glint in her eye before we even sat down. I remember Jake whispering, "She's gonna do it again." I whispered back. Maybe not this time. Maybe she learned. Spoiler alert, she hadn't learned. We were halfway through our enchiladas when I saw Mom lean over to the waiter, her voice low but mischievous. I knew that tone. It was the same tone she used when she told Santa to surprise us with socks every year. Jake saw it too. "No way," he muttered, eyes narrowing. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, the entire restaurant exploded into applause. A group of servers came out banging spoons on trays, shouting, "Feliz cumpleaños!" while carrying a sombrero the size of a satellite dish. And before I could even react, they plopped that enormous hat right on my head and shoved a bowl of ice cream in front of me. Everyone, and I mean everyone, was staring Mom, was clapping and laughing like it was the best thing she'd ever seen. I wanted to crawl under the table and die. Jake looked like he was calculating how to run out the door without paying the bill. When it finally ended, Mom wiped tears from her eyes and said, "Oh, come on, that was fun. You only turned 9 once." I said, "Mom, I told you not to tell them." And she just grinned, totally unbothered. "Honey, you're supposed to enjoy your birthday." That became the pattern. Every single year, Jake and I would beg, "Mom, please don't tell them this time. Promise you won't. We don't want a song. We just want dinner." And every year she'd give that same angelic smile and say, "Of course, I won't say a word." And then, 5, 10, 15 minutes after we sat down, bam, clapping, singing. Some poor waiter trying to remember our names mid-chorus, while Mom laughed like she'd just witnessed the best prank in the world. It got to the point where I'd get anxious every time we went out to eat in March, my birthday month. Even if we were just grabbing burgers, I'd side-eye every waiter that came near our table like they were part of some secret birthday task force. Jake wasn't safe either. His birthday was in August, and Mom made sure both her kids got the same special treatment. We started developing defensive strategies. If we went out close to our birthdays, we'd refuse to tell her where we wanted to go, so she couldn't plan anything. We'd even tell the servers ourselves before she could, "Hey, it's not our birthday, okay? Please don't sing." But Mom was relentless. One time, we went to a seafood place for Jake's 14th birthday, and the waiter came over and asked, "Any special occasions tonight?" Jake immediately said, "Nope." But Mom, without missing a beat, said, "Actually, yes, it's his birthday." Jake groaned, "Mom!" She just giggled, "Oh, come on, don't be such a grouch." And 20 minutes later, there he was, surrounded by a chorus of singing waiters carrying a candle stuck into a crab cake. He didn't even like crab cake. When we got home that night, Jake threw his hands up and said, "I swear, next time I'm telling them it's your birthday." Mom laughed. "You wouldn't dare." But she had no idea. That joke, that little moment of teenage frustration, planted a seed. A seed that would one day bloom into a masterpiece of poetic justice. But at the time, we just gave up trying to fight it. Mom's logic was always the same. Oh, lighten up. You'll laugh about this one day. It's all in good fun. And she wasn't a bad mom, not even close. She was warm, funny, and loved us fiercely. But she had this blind spot. She thought embarrassing us in public was harmless fun. She didn't understand how mortifying it felt to us. The heat in your cheeks, the forced smiles, the way everyone stares while you wish you could disappear. By the time I hit 17 and Jake was 19, the damage was done. We had endured over a decade of unwanted restaurant serenades, forced birthday desserts, and applause from strangers who'd never see us again. So one day, we decided enough was enough. It started as a joke. We were out one Saturday, just the three of us. Dad was working late. Mom wanted to grab lunch at this cute little diner she'd seen on TV. It was one of those cozy places with checkered floors, chrome stools, and a jukebox that still worked if you put in quarters. Mom was in a great mood, chatting with the waitress about pie flavors and coffee refills. Caught Jake's eye across the table. He raised an eyebrow, grinned. It was like we were reading each other's minds. When the waitress came back to take our order, Jake leaned back casually and said, "Oh, by the way, it's our mom's birthday today." The waitress lit up. "Oh, how wonderful. We'll make it special." Mom didn't even notice. She was too busy stirring her coffee and talking about how cute the diner was. We tried to keep straight faces while we ate. Every time someone in an apron walked by, I could feel Jake vibrating with barely contained laughter. And then, about 20 minutes later, we heard it. Clapping. "Happy birthday to you." A group of servers came out from the kitchen, grinning and singing at the top of their lungs. One of them was carrying a cupcake with a candle, the flame flickering as they approached our booth. Mom looked around, smiling. "Oh, whose birthday is it?" Then the cupcake landed right in front of her. Her eyes widened. "Wait, what?" The servers kept singing. The whole diner joined in. Jake and I, we were loving it. Mom's face went red. She started laughing, waving her hands. "Oh, no, it's not my birthday." But the servers just kept going, clapping and cheering. When it was over, she was still giggling, flustered and speechless. "You two? You little brats!" Jake shrugged, completely deadpan. "What? You always say birthdays are fun." Her jaw dropped. "Oh, so this is revenge, huh?" I smiled sweetly. "No, Mom. We're just celebrating you." She rolled her eyes but couldn't stop laughing. And just like that, Operation Birthday Payback was born. That first prank lit a spark neither of us could resist. Because for the first time, Mom got to feel exactly what we'd felt all those years. The shock, the embarrassment, the attention. And honestly, watching her squirm, just a little, was incredibly satisfying. We promised each other right there in that diner parking lot, while she pretended to be mad that this wasn't the end. Oh no, it was just the beginning. After that first birthday ambush at the diner, something changed between us and Mom. For years, she had been the queen of birthday embarrassment, the undefeated champion of surprise serenades and unsolicited dessert candles. But now she'd had a taste of her own medicine, and it was glorious. For the first time ever, we had the upper hand. The next few days were filled with laughter and teasing. Every time we passed a restaurant, Jake would nudge me and whisper, "Should we go in and tell them it's Mom's birthday?" And I'd whisper back, "Nah, let her rest. For now." Mom pretended to be annoyed, but you could tell she was amused too. She'd laugh and say, "You two better not make a habit of that." Spoiler alert, we absolutely made a habit of it. It started small. A few weeks later, we went to lunch after church. Nothing fancy. Just a family meal at a local Italian place. The kind of place that smelled like garlic bread and nostalgia. Mom was talking to the waiter about how she loved their Alfredo sauce. And while she was distracted, Jake casually leaned forward and said, "Hey, just so you know, it's our mom's birthday today." The waiter smiled like he'd just been handed a mission from God. "Oh, that's wonderful. We'll make sure to celebrate her right." I could barely contain my laughter. The moment those telltale claps echoed from the kitchen, I swear I saw Mom's soul leave her body for a second. A parade of waiters appeared, singing and cheering, one holding a plate of tiramisu with a candle in it. Mom froze mid-bite, fork in hand, Her face turned bright red. Wait, no! Oh, you've got to be kidding me! Jake and I clapped along like we were innocent bystanders. Dad tried not to laugh, but he was shaking so hard that water almost spilled from his glass. After it was over, Mom glared at us, but she couldn't stop laughing either. You two are ridiculous, she said. Half laughing, half mortified, Jake just shrugged. You started it, she sighed dramatically. Fine, you got me once, but of course, it wasn't just once. Over the next few months, Operation Birthday Payback became an art form. We perfected our strategy. No longer did we rely on whispered instructions when she was distracted. We became stealthy, masters of subtle sabotage. If we got seated first, we'd flag down the host before she even arrived. If she went to the restroom, that was our chance. Sometimes, we'd even pretend to take a phone call, slip away for 30 seconds, and come back with the calmest poker faces imaginable. And then, the singing would begin. Sometimes it was loud and over the top. Other times it was sweet and awkward, like the kind of thing you can't interrupt without looking rude. Either way, Mom's reaction was chef's kiss. The first few times, she laughed it off. Then she started getting suspicious. One night at a barbecue place, after being serenaded for the 3rd time in 2 months, she narrowed her eyes across the table. All right, she said. Who told them this time? Jake and I both shrugged innocently. Not us, I said. Jake even added, maybe they just sensed it. Mom stared at us for a long second, trying to read our faces. Then she laughed and said, you two are lucky I love you. But we knew she didn't buy it. By this point, even Dad had joined our side. He found the whole thing hilarious. One evening, when we were deciding where to go out, he leaned over and whispered to me, if you're going to do it tonight, wait until dessert. Build suspense. He was having way too much fun with this. We started turning it into a family sport. The goal, keep Mom guessing. Sometimes we'd let 2 or 3 outings go by without any singing, lull her into a false sense of security, and then, boom. Strike again. One time, at a Chinese restaurant, we told the waiter it was her birthday as we were paying the bill. Just when Mom thought she'd made it out unscathed, 5 waiters came running, out from the kitchen with a plate of fortune, cookies and a single candle shoved into the middle one. The look on her face when the clapping started was legendary. She covered her face with her hands, laughing so hard she couldn't breathe. Oh, you guys are terrible, she said through giggles. Jake grinned. Nah, we're just dedicated. At that point, we were unstoppable. But the thing about messing with someone as clever as Mom is, eventually she fights back. After about 6 months of random birthday ambushes, she started getting smart. She'd tell the servers up front, before we even sat down. It's not my birthday, no matter what my kids say. So we had to evolve. At one restaurant, when she tried that trick, Jake whispered to the waitress, she says that every year. She just doesn't like surprises. But it is her birthday. The waitress gave us a knowing wink. Got it. And sure enough, Mom got another surprise song anyway. Her jaw dropped mid-chorus. When it ended, she glared at Jake. You little liar. He put his hand over his heart. Hey, I can't control other people's kindness. By now, the staff at several local restaurants knew us by face and reputation. One time, a host recognized us as we walked in and whispered to the waiter, that's the family with the birthday prank. Just wait till dessert. We didn't even have to say anything anymore. Mom's reputation had officially gone public. Then came the Great Pancake Incident. It was a Saturday morning. We went to this popular breakfast place, one of those family-run spots that always had a line out the door. Mom was wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap, like she was going incognito. Swear, she said as we waited for a table. If you two pull another stunt, I'm walking out. Jake raised his hands in surrender. Scout's honor, I nodded solemnly. You're safe, Mom. We weren't lying. Technically. Because we didn't tell this restaurant it was her birthday. Dad did. When the clapping started halfway through her pancakes, Mom looked straight at us. We both pointed at Dad immediately. He was red-faced, laughing so hard tears streamed down his cheeks. Hey, I just wanted to be part of the fun. Mom was speechless, torn between laughing and strangling him. After that, we were grounded from birthday jokes for a week. But honestly, worth it. Over the months, the prank evolved into something kind of beautiful. At first, it was revenge. Pure, petty, hilarious revenge. But as time went on, it became part of our family identity. We laughed more. We teased each other constantly. Even Mom, despite her embarrassment, started joking about it. When we'd walk into a new restaurant, she'd point at us and tell the host, "Don't listen to a word they say. They're professional troublemakers." Jake would grin and say, "Oh, we only do it out of love." And I'll be honest, seeing her flustered but smiling made all the years of unwanted birthday attention feel worth it. But we didn't realize something important. Mom had been plotting her own counterattack, and she was patient. It started with little comments. "Oh, I wonder what it feels like to have people sing to you when you least expect it." Or, "It's funny how tables turn, huh?" We didn't think much of it. We were too busy congratulating ourselves on our success. But one day, we'd find out just how creative Mom could be when she decided to take the spotlight back. Because if there's one thing she taught us, sometimes, revenge runs in the family. It was late spring when Mom decided she'd had enough. She didn't announce it outright. No dramatic speech, no warnings, just quiet. Too quiet. At dinner one night, she said, "You know, I've been thinking." Jake froze mid-bite. "Uh-oh," he whispered. Mom smiled sweetly. "Maybe I do need to lighten up about the birthday thing. You boys are right. It's all in good fun. That should have been our first red flag. But we were idiots. Smug, confident idiots." Jake said, "See? We told you." And I added, "Finally, you're embracing the chaos." Mom just sipped her iced tea and said, embracing it. For the next few weeks, nothing happened. No singing waiters, no sneaky grins, no suspicious winks from staff. It was peaceful. Too peaceful. Every meal felt eerie, like walking through a haunted house waiting for the jump scare. Even Dad seemed on edge. He'd glance at Mom whenever we sat down, whispering, "You're being awfully quiet. Should I be worried?" She'd just smile and say, "Not at all." One afternoon, while we were cleaning up after lunch at home, Mom casually said, "By the way, don't make any dinner plans next Saturday. I'm taking the family out. My treat." Jake and I exchanged a look. That was unusual. Mom loved going out, but she never organized dinner. That was usually Dad's thing. What's the occasion?" I asked. "No occasion," she said, stacking plates in the dishwasher. "Just family time." Her tone was light, but her eyes had that mischievous sparkle. Jake mouthed silently to me, "We're dead." Saturday came. Mom dressed up, hair done, lipstick on, a bright red scarf that screamed confidence. "You ready?" she asked cheerfully. Jake whispered as we followed her to the car. "This feels like walking into an ambush." Dad chuckled. "Relax, boys. Maybe she's finally over it. We should have known better. She drove us to a restaurant we'd never been to. Fancy, but friendly. White tablecloths, live piano, low lighting. The kind of place you go for anniversaries or promotions, not random Saturdays." "Wow," Jake said, impressed. "Did you win the lottery?" Mom smiled. "Let's just say I've been planning this for a while." We sat down. Everything seemed normal. Menus, drinks, small talk. No suspicious whispers. No waiters giggling in the corner. After a few minutes, Jake relaxed. "See? False alarm." Then the appetizers came. Then the entrees. Still nothing. Halfway through dessert, I started thinking maybe she really was done with the birthday. War. That's when the music stopped. The pianist hit one last note and suddenly the restaurant went quiet. "Jake." And I exchanged a confused glance. Then a booming voice echoed from the other side of the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest tonight." Jake's fork froze halfway to his mouth. Mom's smile widened. The voice continued. Please join us in celebrating the birthdays of two amazing young men, Jake, and I almost choked on my drink, and his brother. Spotlights, actual spotlights, turned toward our table. The staff appeared, carrying 2 slices of cheesecake, candles flickering dramatically. I stared at Mom, utterly betrayed. She was beaming, clapping along like she'd just won the lottery. Jake muttered, "Oh, she did not. She did." The waiters started singing but not just any happy birthday. This was a full-blown Broadway performance. They had props. They had choreography. One of them even did jazz hands. The entire restaurant joined in. People cheered. Someone whistled. Jake turned to me and whispered through gritted teeth, "We created a monster." Mom leaned back, completely in her element, mouthing along with the lyrics like she'd rehearsed the whole thing. When it finally ended, the waiter bowed and said, "Your mom told us how much you love this tradition." Mom's laughter filled the room. "Oh, they do. They just pretend to hate it." I couldn't even be mad. It was genius. Jake leaned over and said quietly, "Okay, she's officially dangerous." After that, it was war again. No one said it out loud, but everyone knew. The next few weeks were a blur of chaotic one-upmanship. Mom got us once more, at a burger place, where she somehow convinced the manager to make an announcement over the PA system. Jake and I responded by doubling down on our own mission. Every restaurant outing became a psychological chess game. Mom started calling ahead to warn places. We started calling ahead. Before her calls went through, one time, she arrived to find the host already handing her a birthday balloon before she'd even sat down. She glared at us and said, "You two have way too much free time." Jake grinned. "You taught us persistence." But something started to shift. The whole thing stopped feeling like revenge and more like tradition. We weren't angry anymore. We were laughing more than ever. Dad loved it too. "I haven't seen this much excitement at dinner since Jake tried sushi," he'd say. We didn't realize it then, but the war had turned into our weird little family bonding ritual.